From sea to shining sea. This is a phrase heard commonly when referring to the United States as America, such as in the patriotic tune, America the Beautiful. But how exactly did the United States become a nation that extended from the Atlantic to the Pacific? For that, we can thank our 11th president, James Knox Polk. James Polk was born in a log cabin in Pineville, North Carolina, on November 2, 1795. In 1806, his family decided to move to Tennessee, and his father, Samuel Polk, became a very influential politician in the area. The Polks would have many political guests in their home, including Andrew Jackson, who by then was a war hero in the Battle of New Orleans. James Polk became a colonel in the Tennessee militia and decided to enter politics. Polk was elected to the Tennessee state legislature, where he became a very close political ally to Andrew Jackson. He would often confide in his wife Sarah, who was very educated for a woman at the time, and she gave him policy advice and helped on his campaigns. Polk was elected to the United States House of Representatives from Tennessee's 6th District, and was voted Speaker of the House in 1835, largely due to President Jackson's influence. Polk heartily supported almost all of the president's plans, causing his opponents to mockingly dub him Young Hickory. In 1839, he decided to run for governor of Tennessee and won the gubernatorial election. Due to a poor economy in the late 1830s, Polk lost his re-election bid in 1841. He attempted the governor's seat again in 1843, but he lost, and he returned to his Tennessee plantation to wait for another chance to enter politics. When the presidential election of 1844 rolled around, Polk wanted President Van Buren to select him as vice president, hoping that being vice president would provide an easy path for the presidency. Little did he know, Van Buren's opposition to the annexation of Texas would cause Andrew Jackson to encourage him to run for president. Polk was highly skeptical of this idea, doubting his ability to win, but decided to run anyway. He defeated Van Buren and became the Democratic Party's nominee for president. He announced he would serve only one term and defeated Whig nominee Henry Clay with 170 electoral votes to Clay's 105. James Polk was president. President Polk laid out a clear plan for his first and only term in office. 1. Re-establish the independent treasury system that the Whig majority in Congress had abolished. 2. Reduce tariffs. 3. Acquire as much of Oregon as possible. And 4. Acquire California from Mexico. Polk began his presidency by settling the Oregon dispute with Great Britain, splitting the borderline at the 49th parallel. Then, in 1846, when Mexico crossed the Rio Grande into Texas, which had been annexed by the United States and thus counted as an invasion, President Polk declared war, starting the Mexican-American War. The U.S. defeated Mexico and Texas, adopting it as part of the United States. Then the U.S. easily annexed California as it was sparsely populated, and U.S. troops reached Los Angeles, causing the U.S. to touch the Pacific Ocean. The United States acquired over 500,000 miles of square land in the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, and at long last, over 40 years of manifest destiny was over. Domestically, Polk instated the Walker Tariff, which lowered rates and set a policy of a set rate rather than an ad valorem rate. He then established the independent treasury system, which allowed the federal government to manage its own funds exclusively and required that paper money be backed by gold or silver. Polk concluded his presidency having succeeded in completing his ambitious four-point plan in only one term. He retired in 1849 and died in Nashville of cholera that same year. President Polk was highly influential to American history. He saw the end of the Jacksonian era by creating the Walker Tariff and reinstating President Van Buren's independent treasury, seeing Jackson's domestic ambitions come to fruition. He also saw the end of manifest destiny by settling the Oregon dispute, annexing Texas, and annexing California, which caused the U.S. to reach from coast to coast. Polk changed the United States geographically and economically. He changed it geographically by widening the U.S. to reach the Pacific coast, and economically by changing the way tariffs work and how the value of money is measured. In fact, while many understand how Polk's contributions to expansionism are influential, many disregard his domestic accomplishments, which changed the economic system of the United States permanently. Polk is our most underappreciated president and deserves to be on Mount Rushmore much less the 8-Bush Wall of Fame.